Hey there, welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz. And boy, it was sunny today. I'm always very hesitant to say it's cold because some of you
That's a relative term.
Yes, in parts of the world that were really cold. Anyway, we're going to get to that in a bit. As you know, this is not Liza because Liza is still away. As a compensation, we've got a fabulous show tonight and we've got some lovely people in the audience. Mm-hmm. As always, running the board, looking fabulous. He's a weirdie with a beardie. It's John.
Heidi-ho, everybody. You can call me brother now.
Brother.
Welcome to the brother.
And we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
However, sitting on my right is Neil. Hello, Neil.
Hello, Emma. Hello, everyone.
And it's simply lovely to have you here. Across from me is Scottie.
Hello.
Hello.
Making magic.
Oh, absolutely. And sitting in front of the window, looking beyond fabulous.
Quite handsome.
Yeah, and very handsome and mustachioed. It's Craigzilla.
Nom, 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 nom.
And you see, now normally I would say, and coming to us from his fabulous workshop in Velveeta, Oregon, there's always a lot of cheese in Velveeta, is Bagel. But I'm not going to say that this week.
No.
Because you're in the studio with us.
I am in the house.
You're
as
in
they
the
may
house
say.
and actually crashing on my futon at Chateau Emma.
Yes, and sitting very comfortably on the Classy Girl couch.
You are indeed. How are
Yes.
you, Bagel? You look great.
I'm doing well. I'm very happy to be here. Happy to see everybody. Happy to be in the studio again.
Yeah, because of course we do this thing in America, and this is for our European listeners. We do this thing called Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving, you all sit around a table with your family and eat far too much and get into all kinds of inappropriate arguments about religion and politics and anything you like.
And then pass out with a food coma.
And then pass out with a food coma. And this is very much an American tradition. And it's really kickoff for the overeating season.
Yes.
So, you know, I've been losing a few pounds lately to get in training for this. So I think I can probably put on about 5 or 6 pounds in the coming month or so between now and Christmas.
Do you feel like you're ready? Are you tapering for the big event next week?
Yes, no, I think so.
You're down to race weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm down to race weight, so I'm going to be pushing a lot of chow into my face on Thursday. And I'm guessing you're down in sunny California land for Thanksgiving, aren't you?
Thanksgiving, and went to a concert last night in San Francisco, and I wanted to be here at the garage as well today.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a quiet day at the garage. A lot of lovely old faces showed up.
Yeah.
We didn't get a great deal done because it is relatively cold for California at least.
Chilly.
It is chilly, but it was definitely sunny.
But we did rent on at least one bike today. I did help Charlie with his KLR. He had some electrical issues going on there. We found that the brake switch or that brake switch actuator was sticking because it had been attached to the wrong side of the clip, and it was just rubbing on the metal just enough to keep it tension on it when you released it. So we fixed that.
Did you say rubbing?
Yes.
Oh, I can smell the chafing from
Smell
here.
the two-stroke
I
one.
can smell the chafing.
There was friction involved.
It's frictional.
Yes.
My favorite kind of literature.
Yeah. And we also discovered that the battery lead had gotten disconnected on one side, so it wasn't actually powering the lights. They were only being powered off the engine. So when we put his turn signal on, the brake light would turn off.
Oh, very nice. But I tell you what, that is a lovely little bike.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to serve him pretty well. And like everything else, he got it.
It's a 250 though, not a 650.
It is a 250. And the 250s.
Have you got a chance to ride it, John? It's pretty fun.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, I mean, there's not much power. I think it's got all of about 18 horsepower, maybe less, maybe about 15, but
On
it's
a
very
good
light
day.
and agile.
Yeah, it is.
It's kickstart only, and it's jolly fun. But, so as always, when Liza's not around, I think, well, what kind of theme are we going to do for this show? And we've got a guest coming in a little later, and I thought an ideal theme for this show is just old bikes in general, and not necessarily valuable bikes, but bikes that either occupy a place in your heart or want to occupy a place in your heart, and how you approach them. Because, John, you just got back from Florida, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
And survived to tell the tale.
I did. It was a glorious place.
Well, you were raised in Florida, weren't you? Or were you?
Yeah, it was part of my life, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like a homecoming. But
It's the reason I live in California.
don't say that.
And we're glad to have
I
you.
have always had groovy times in California, in Florida. When
I did
I've
grow
been
up near Daytona Speedway, so that was fun.
Well, that's a nice neck of the woods
yeah.
to grow up in. But you were messing around with your late father's estate, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. So I was, he had a 2010 Sportster 48. It's the one with the huge tires on it.
Yeah.
And so I shipped it back finally. And Scottie was going to ride it back last year, but it's actually good thing you didn't. But yeah, so I shipped it back, and now I'm kind of messing around with that, trying to get it back on the road. It's been sitting for 4 years, and it's
Right.
a little sweaty from all the humidity.
And so what I want to talk about with this whole thing, and I want everybody in the studio, and this is something actually, if you've got any experience of this, please write into and tell us about it, because it's far more common than you think. A motorcycle will come into your life, and either through being bequeathed by your father, or, he may have never meant you to get it, but you end up with it, or it belonged to a favorite aunt or a favorite uncle, or it was just something you admired when you were a kid. And this thing is wrapped around your heart, and it's not necessarily a valuable thing. How do you approach that? I mean, what's the correct way to do it? It happens a lot down at the shop. I'll get somebody bring down a bike. And obviously, if it's a European bike, if it's a British bike or an Italian bike, yeah, there's some intrinsic value there. And you can push the envelope a little bit more with value. But let's, something like an old Kawasaki 100cc dirt bike, which has got no value at all. But then you find out it belonged to his dad, or it belonged to his favorite uncle, or indeed it was his when he was a kid and now he's in his 50s. And he wants to make decisions not necessarily based on value, but from the heart. So where do you draw the line?
Well, not based on monetary value, but based on sentimental value.
Yeah,
Right.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So is there a line where that stops? Is there a line where you have to say, it just doesn't make sense? This thing is all wrapped around my heart, but it doesn't make sense. And do you, rather than say, okay, instead of being a riding bike, this is now going to be a looking bike, and it can occupy a place in the living room, or...
Well, I mean, from my perspective, if a bike can be fixed and made rideable again, you should do that and ride it. That's what it was. That's what it was meant for.
Right.
But if there's an issue where the like, say, the parts are no longer available, or something has broken that makes it impossible to repair it, and you can't find the parts for that, then you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. I mean, then you're talking about having to actually go to somebody to fabricate parts, which can be prohibitively expensive. Maybe that would make sense if it has that much sentimental value. But it really kind of comes down to how much you want to put into this thing based on how much it means to you.
And how far you want to take it. I mean, do you want to go like all the way, or just make it a rider?
Full resto. I had that experience with a bike that I bought from my late brother's wife, an 85 K100.
Mm-hmm.
It was a decent bike, but kind of rough shape and needed all the
and K bikes, for whatever reason, I find them quite charming, but they're not valuable bikes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They were kind of detested by the BMW car when they first came out, right? And
yeah,
I think some of that stink has stuck onto them for over those years.
It was a fun bike to ride. It had a lot of torque, and I had great memories of riding it with my brother. We rode it at the 2004 MotoGP round at Laguna Seca. We did a parade lap together on it.
Neat.
Right. So the bike has a lot of value in your emotional well-being.
Yes,
you've got your heart wrapped around it. So how did you approach it? I mean,
well, after my brother died, this is back in 2010. His wife was trying to figure out things, and she was intending to move back to Ohio to be with her family. And she says, "Neil, are you interested in this bike?" And he says, "Oh, yeah, all right. I'll work on it and make it rideable and just bring it in and do that." So it's kind of a spur of the moment decision to keep the bike with me because I had that association with it. What ultimately ended up happening is that it just didn't have time to work on it. I just didn't have. I rode it a few times and then it sat for a while, and I eventually ended up selling it a few years later. But I did have the time to just kind of relive a little bit with that bike and experience it because, that's what my brother and I would do is we would ride together. We would switch bikes, and he would ride my CVR and I would ride his bike, and we had that experience together.
And I think that's a very, very valid thing to consider, that we think, emotions are still raw. Your brother died. Mm-hmm. And so you've got a hole in you because your brother died.
Yeah.
And you look back very nostalgically. These times when you're both younger. And then, this bike is going to take me back there and it's going to be great. But you find perhaps it doesn't.
No, it didn't. I did take it for a couple of fun rides with my wife on the back, but ultimately,
it was just another used bike at the end of it.
Yeah. And ultimately it was like, you need a newer bike. You need something that's reliable. You need something that's doesn't need so much work.
One of my favorite ones, Emma, was the one you had in your garage last year that I've seen recently that you totally redid for that guy that Triumph, the full resto for his late father's. Now that might be crossing the line into has a little bit of value, but I love that story. And when you went through that bike, you redid the whole thing and spent quite a bit of time and effort on that.
And the irony with that bike is I spent a huge amount of money getting the engine right on that bike. A big amount of money. I had to have, the crank was on its last grind, so I had to have the crank built up and then ground back down to standard. The bores I returned to standard, even though we're on maximum overbore. We sleeved them, brought them back to stock. And a bunch of stuff, just bringing the engine back really to new specification. And it lives in his living room.
I know. I love that. So that's kind of like at the opposite end of the spectrum where like it had so much value to him that he wanted to put a lot of value into it.
Right, exactly. And I mean, you have that leeway with a vintage Triumph, especially of that caliber, because believe me, there aren't that many 1950s Triumphs left with the basically one-owner bikes.
What was the bike you had on the back of the truck last week?
The 67. That would have been.
The 67. Yeah, so on the back of the truck, this is the other end of the spectrum.
Right.
This is a private collection. Guy lives I think he lives in Hong Kong. But he's got a ton of classic cars. And his shtick, he loves Triumph TT specials. Now, for people who don't know, Triumph made this thing called the TT Special, and it was basically a bare bones bike. There were no lights on it. It had open pipes, big cams, big carbs. It was basically a competition bike that you could buy. You did a few things to it. It'd be a road race bike. It did a few different things to it. Could be a scramble bike, but it was the easiest way to get power in the mid 1960s. And he's got every year of TT specials, so he's got about 8 of these things, including 2 67s. The reason he's got 2 67s, there's an early and a late 67. It was a changeover year. The early 67 has a particular type of carburetor called an AMAL monoblock. The later one have concentrics, and the paintwork is different. Both of them are claret on the top, but the early 67 is gold underneath.
And claret is like that purplish reddish color.
Yeah, claret is the color of red wine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Triumph had a huge problem with the gold fading. The gold would fade within 6 months. And so they changed it to the claret over white very, very quickly. So it was only like a first 3 months. But that's kind of the other end of the spectrum. The guy, aside from liking TT specials, he's got no real, how can you put it? He's got no real emotional tie to them, aside from the fact that I like these bikes and they're cool. And they'll give me a good return on my investment if I keep them long enough.
And his interest, and it sounds like he's interested in having the collection, having like the whole range.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And if you see his collection of cars, he's got a very, very interesting collection of cars as well. He's got a Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, the Gullwing, but in a really odd color.
Really?
His is the only black one I've ever seen. I've never seen a black one.
Wow.
And apparently it's factory.
Yeah.
I thought they only ever came in silver.
Most
but I'm
of
told,
them were, yeah.
Yeah. And
there were some reds and whites too, I think.
But I've never seen a black
cream
one.
color.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks quite good in black.
Bet,
It's a very
yeah.
menacing looking car.
Yeah.
And then he's got a Roadster of the same car, which is in kind of like a weird pea green color. It's a very good color.
Yeah.
With a green interior.
I love an unexpected color.
Yeah, right. And it's like, oh, this is a car I know, but it's like, oh, that color.
Dressed up differently.
It's dressed up differently. And then, kind of a slew of Italian cars. And, he's obviously got a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's got a hangar out at the airport. So I think he hauls his Learjet out and puts the collection in and switches them around.
Yeah, but to your note, that is absolutely the other end of a spectrum of like somebody who's like,
Right,
this
exactly.
is just my brother's bike or something like that.
But that's not what we're really talking about. So, we'll get back to John. Let's get back to your 2010 Sportster, which is not a high dollar bike.
No.
Not that old either.
I think that's a $5,000 bike.
Yeah, at least.
On a good day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be less than that.
He'd put quite a lot of nice little modifications
Yeah, he
on
did.
it, right?
He did a lot of tchotchkes on that.
Yeah, he's got the Vance and Hines short, the side pipes, the short shots, I think they're called.
I bet it's loud.
It's stupid loud. It's too loud. It's open. There's no baffles in it, so that's why he liked it. So it's just ungodly loud. That'll be the first thing I do.
He didn't like hearing.
Yeah, I don't know. But he did a bunch of other little things to it. Yeah. But it's a solid little bike. It's just been sitting for too long.
Right. So you're facing the problems that a lot of people face, and that is corrosion.
Yeah. Everything's rusted.
Yep.
Especially in Florida.
So I was talking to Emma earlier. I mean, I love the spoke wheels on that. I love that bobber look, but the front spokes are just rusted out. So I'm like, oh man, so figuring out whether I relace those or try to find a knock.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. Buchanan will actually sell you a spoke kit for that bike.
Oh, they will.
In stainless for like $150. It's not expensive.
How hard is that to do?
We can just lace them up down here.
I don't know. I was just about getting ready to do that on my my XR.
Oh, really?
Yeah, replace the rim and spokes in the front wheel.
Well, that might be the way to go. It's just how is truing them up hard to do?
It's more time consuming than, everyone says, oh, it's an art. And it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. You can master it if you're patient. And I've actually seen you exhibit patience occasionally.
Yeah, one thing my dad taught me was how to throw tools across the room when things aren't going
No,
right.
I have noticed that behavior in you sometimes. No, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's a nice project if the weather's crap.
Right.
And you can do it down here or you can do it at home. It's the sort of thing you get a truing stand, put it on your kitchen table, get some nice jazz going, have a nice cup of tea or a whiskey and soda or whatever it is. And
glass of Chianti.
Yes, there you are. And then trip up your wheels.
Yeah, in a previous life, I built thousands and thousands of bicycle wheels.
Oh, okay.
And actually had a career for a while teaching people how to build bicycle wheels.
So you know how to do this.
So,
you're my Huckleberry.
So I really enjoy it. I think it's quite relaxing, just like Emma was saying.
Oh.
And, put a movie on and I'll watch a movie and do it at the same time.
Just
build a wheel set.
Trip your wheels. I mean, I build all my wheels on my bikes and the rest of those. And
I mean, he's got a mag wheel in the front. It was funny how this was the guy that raced flat track. He was just a nut. But then he got old, and he was scared about the spokes obviously have tubes in them. So he was afraid about the tube blowing my mom on the back. So he put a mag. So it's mitts. It's got mag back and tube front, or mag front and spoke back. So I hate it's just not looking. Yeah, it's weird. So
yeah, that is quite an odd combination. I mean, you showed me a picture of it, and it's not a bad looking bike by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and I love that he's got a seat that will you could take off the back, so it could be a solo seat, or the whole thing comes off the back.
Yeah, because that has got quite the backrest on it, hasn't it?
Oh wow, yeah.
Well, Melissa's happy about that. So
okay,
yeah.
Very good. So
she doesn't have to worry about you falling off.
Exactly.
So Melissa has actually threatened to go out with you.
She's threatened to, yeah.
Okay, very good.
The funny thing about this bike is
a good sign. Spousal approval.
Funny thing about this is I wouldn't have bought it. This wouldn't be something I would naturally go towards. But it was his, so I'm going to keep it. But it's kind of fun to ride. I've ridden it a couple times, and it's torquey, and it's rumbly. But
I think when I bought that Super Glide, I mean, I think there was a collective like, what?
Yeah.
But it scratches an itch. I mean, I as long as I'm in a position that I can own multiple bikes,
I have no cruisers.
I'll always have a Harley because it scratches that itch. You like Harleys as well, don't you, Craig? I mean, not as an only bike, but you've had them in the past.
I've actually never owned a Harley.
Really? I thought you'd had one or two.
Yet. My business partner, Chris, loves Harleys and used to work for Harley. So I've been warming up to them lately. But historically, not so much.
Okay.
It is what it is. I don't have a cruiser in my stable. So, and
now you do.
Now I do. So, and it's going to be easier to have Melissa on the back because of my short little legs.
Cool.
Okay.
That is a huge benefit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the answer is there is no real answer. You have to, I think you have to draw the line somewhere, and you have to be quite brutal about it, and you have to say, look, we've got guests. It's coming up to that time.
Oh, yeah.
You actually have to say, look, this bike has an intrinsic value, and I know it's all wrapped around my heart, but I can't go over this.
I'm not trying to restore this thing. I'm just trying to ride it.
Right.
It's probably what he would have done too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm very excited about this because we have some guests tonight. We already started the ball rolling by talking about older bikes, and these guys actually make a living working on older bikes. And because that's what I do, I know how tricky it can be navigating the choppy waters.
Let me introduce. So this is Sayer and Pete. And we have Bailey, also a mechanic there. And they're from Nova Motorcycles in Western Massachusetts.
Can you hear us, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Fantastic. You're a little low. See if you can turn that volume up a little bit.
How about now?
Oh, that's absolutely perfect.
That's good.
Yeah, lean into the mic a little bit. So,
love that Interceptor in the background, by the way. Yeah, that one, yeah.
So, guys, I know you listeners to the show. You've sent us some stuff to research about who you are, which is absolutely wonderful. Tell people who you are, what you do, and why you do it. How about that?
Yeah. So this is Pete Chilton, and my co-owner with me, Sayer, and we started Nova Motorcycles in 2014. So we've been doing it just over 10 years now. And we have two shop mechanics with us as well, Bailey and Kent here. And yeah, we sort of met and shared a love of motorcycles and decided to sort of start something. I was more interested in the custom side of it. come from a graphic design background, and then Sarah had all of the mechanical side of it. So he had a lot of experience with that. So
Yeah, we met because I worked on Pete's bike, and he brought me back another bike and said, "Hey, I want to get involved with, maybe do some custom stuff." And I was working out of a hole in the wall, no sign, not really legit shop at the moment, word of mouth, just for myself. And I was losing my lease on that place, and so I actually needed to find a spot. So I said, "Hey, you know what? This is good time, as I'm looking to change the pace of things a little bit." So we went and we found a place in an old abandoned factory down the road here, and started it.
I come from a marketing background and a graphic design background, so I was like, I'll do that side of the business. We'll do some customs, and then we'll also do the repair part, and we'll focus on older bikes because that's what we love.
What I like is you actually do exactly what I do, but on a larger scale. Mototown is basically me. It's me in an 800 square foot workshop with all my tools, and it's just one in, one out. You're on a much larger scale, but it's basically the same thing. And it's just this love of older bikes. And if you work on older bikes, you really have to approach it quite differently. Before you guys came in, we were talking about what we call legacy bikes that you might have inherited from your dad, your favorite uncle, your favorite aunt. And perhaps they're upside down in value, but they're wrapped around your heart. Now, I know you're going to encounter a lot of that with bikes that customers bring in. What are some of the approaches you do differently when you've got older bikes that come in, and perhaps not high value bikes? We can use that Interceptor behind you as an example. As lovely as they are, it is a complicated bike. It's not a high dollar bike. How are you going to approach cams, carburetors, tank on something like that?
Yeah, well, that's a conversation we have early with the customer when they come in, and we get a lot of people who inherited their uncle's bike or their dad's bike or whatever it is. And first and foremost, anybody who comes in and is talking about what they're going to get out of the bike monetarily wise, I stop the conversation right there and say, this is probably not going to end well for you. If you want to maximize the sale of this machine, just don't put another dollar into it. But if you want to have the machine and own it, it can work. You'll spend less, hopefully, or definitely no more than you would buying a new machine. Then you'll have something that has some sentimental value. It is original. But that's a definitely huge conversation we have with people, and making sure that they know what they're getting into when we're getting into something like this. And we can't say, oh, this is going to cost you $1,000 and your dad's bike's going to be great on the road again. At the same time, we want to be optimistic and say we can make this work at a budget that you can work with within reason as well. But yeah, it's a hard thing. Old bikes have their own time frame. When a bike comes in, we don't know. And I've gotten this in the first 5 years of the business, I was doing most of the service managing, and I had a very hard time telling people that I didn't know that their bike would be done at a certain point. I like to overpromise, and I get myself deep into off the deep end of being able to deliver to what I thought I could do. I'm getting much better now as time goes on, being able to say, we don't know when this is going to be done because we don't know what it needs yet. And you sort of have to give us a blank check of time to get into this machine and see what we're dealing with. And we'll get back to you in a timely manner. But once we get something, once we figure out what we need, we might not be able to find the parts.
Right.
And
I found, and I'm sure you found the same, with my British bike customers, Brexit was huge. The whole timeline because all my stuff, if I'm working on a British bike, everything comes from England. And that went from a week to like a month, and slowed everything down. Do you have, how big's your facility?
About 2,300 square feet.
Oh, good Lord. So when the long-term bikes come in, you've actually got a corner you can push them in while you're waiting for parts, while you're waiting for, whatever you need to come in from wherever.
Yeah. We just we have an outbuilding that's about 1,000 square feet that's unheated. So that's sort of like the long-term stuff that goes there. And then we just finished an addition on our shop, which is sort of like an extension, a barn extension off of the heated space, where that's our sort of midterm inventory. So we have to manage all of those bikes, and I would say that we have between 50 and 100 bikes at the shop pretty much at any time. Yeah.
Let's talk about your mechanics, because you've got both your mechanics with you. I want to hear from you guys. How did you come to work at this place? How did you come to start being a mechanic? Now, I've been a mechanic, I should point out, for 47 years. And I think if you ever wake up in the morning and say, I want to be a motorcycle mechanic, that should preclude you from ever having that position. You tend to fall into it out of necessity. In my case, it was because I was so broke, I had to fix my bikes so I could go down the pub and have fun with my friends. But who wants to start? I want to hear from one of the mechanics. Where did you start learning to wrench on bikes, and why?
This is Bailey.
Hey, Bailey!
Hi. So glad to be on your show. Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I started getting interested in fixing things when I don't know. I think I was 12 when my dad bought me my first dirt bike and made me fix it before I rode it. But before that, I was taking random stuff apart and trying to figure out how it worked.
Did you take your mum's vacuum cleaner apart? I did that.
No, this old rotary phone that I tried to take apart and put back together like 100 times. I don't think that ever got back together properly, but it was broken before I got there, to be fair. Yeah, and it's funny how you say it's something you kind of fall into. I had a dirt bike. I loved it. I rode it around the farm. And then my dad also helped me get my first street bike, a little Honda Rebel, underwhelming. And it was fine. But I wasn't in love with motorcycles. Like, the passion really came in the fixing and understanding of how things worked. So I really enjoyed myself more when it came time to learn how to do the fluids on that bike rather than riding it. I think I worked on that Rebel more than I really rode it. And then, out of high school, I didn't really want to waste money or time going to college when I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I know I wanted to have an opportunity to fix things. I wanted to be a mechanic, and I chose Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, the UTI branch. And I chose motorcycles because that would mean I would get to go to Arizona and see cactuses, which I really wanted. I wanted to go.
Hey, that's a great reason to go to Arizona.
Yep. Yeah. I wanted an opportunity to get out of state. I was 17, 18. So I was ready to go. And I went and, spent about 2 years there doing that program. And I got plenty out of it. It is what it is. You get what you get out of it. And I think it was really good. It gave me some foundation and a transcript certifications, that I could say that I have and get my foot in the door. And I did fall in love with it. It was the first time I ever did well in school, which was.
Do you think that because you're a gal, you had to be better than the guys?
Yeah, well, because it was the first time I ever did well in any sort of school academic setting. I wasn't the best in school. I took a lot of pride and got a lot of confidence in doing really well in all the clinics and stuff and all the labs, getting really good marks. And I don't know, it was a source of pride and everything. And I loved, I definitely loved being better than men.
Right.
It doesn't happen all the time.
How did you meet those two men?
So right right out of school, I worked in another independent shop for better part of a year, and then I spent some time in the dealership world, which was, definitely not for me. And on my lunch break from that dealership job, I decided to go for a drive because I was really close to quitting. I went for a drive, and I had heard about this shop because it was in the same town. It was just like across the river, a couple streets down. And I went for a drive, and I just walked in to go check it out. And I introduced myself. I think I actually might have been that kid to like hand him my resume and transcript, like off the bat, just like, here's this. And he ended up texting me 2 weeks later, and I gave my 2 weeks notice like 5 minutes after I got that text.
Well, not to rewrite history, but the way this is Sarah again. The way I remember it is we had just opened up our storefront. We moved out of our little hole in the wall, moved into an actual shop, and I had no idea what to expect that year. But we started to get busy, but I wasn't planning on hiring anybody. It was just going to be me for that year. And then in walks Bailey a month or so after that. And she was really put together. She was wearing another dealership's outfit. I knew she could hold the job. And she spoke like she knew what she was talking about. And I was like, damn, if I hire somebody, I want to hire that kid. But I'm like, I'm not hiring right now, whatever. And then 2 weeks later, she called me and told me she quit the other job. And
I see.
I got to get this.
So a little bit of the emotional manipulation. Well done, Bailey. Because this is
by the way, I'm unemployed.
She's going to get picked up by somebody else, so I'll figure out how to pay for her.
Strategically unemployed.
And Bailey, let's talk a little bit about the dealership experience, because that was my life for a long time as well. And in a lot of ways, as a mechanic, it's an easy way to make money because you're paid on flat rate. If you can build bikes out of crates, if you can do warranty work, if you can do NHTSA work, which is all the stuff that comes from, this bike is dangerous because the manufacturer needs to do it, you can make a good living. But it is a bit soul destroying, isn't it?
It really is. I think I also, the specific dealership I was at, it was a smaller one, and to put it nicely, horribly mismanaged, and
they often are.
Wow, that was nice. I did
the employee turnover was incredible. I was there for I think 5 months, and I saw 4 different mechanics in and out the door. And one of the mechanics that had been there for like 7 or 8 years, the way the boss spoke to him was, this is all just, personal stuff. I knew early on it wasn't where I wanted to be, but the dealership model in general, it's something I think I could have done, especially, I liked the type of bikes I was working on. It was Honda Triumph. It was, decent machines that I like a lot. But yeah, like there were certain bikes that would come in, and once the job got too big, I had to back out, and it wasn't my choice. If it was up to me, I would have wanted to fix that, but I didn't have much say over that. And yeah, it's soul destroying. That's fair for sure. And I think I would absolutely get bored of working, on the same machine over and over.
So before we get into the nuts and bolts, as it were, of what you actually do, we have another mechanic, and I'm always thrilled to hear from mechanics, because you're my homies. So tell us about yourself. I have to say, you are a far more traditional looking mechanic.
Yeah.
So who are you, darling?
My name is Kent.
Hello, Kent.
Hello.
Tell me about your background, what you worked on, and again, how you came to work at Nova Motorcycles. Same kind of thing, really.
Sure. My grandfather started me working on just whatever needed worked on when I was way too young to be working on things. And then eventually I got a job at a bicycle shop and started working on bicycles, and from there, somewhere along the way, I made a trade of a really stupid car, a 1980 Datsun B210 with a busted CV joint for a 57 Sportster.
Ooh.
With a real long front end, no shocks, but pieces of pipe put in place of where the shocks were that had broken.
Quality.
Which is why the shocks is why the guy decided to get rid of it. He was just done. So from there, I was working at the bicycle shop, and then I worked construction. And while I was working construction, I got my motorcycle from where I grew up to where I was living and took it to a shop that was near where I was living, which was, about 1,500 miles away, where I moved to, but I hadn't really decided that I'd moved there yet.
So how far away was 1,500 miles away? Which town?
I grew up on the Arkansas-Oklahoma border.
Okay.
And moved to Massachusetts, moved to Martha's Vineyard for a summer and spent about 30 years of summer year round, really on the vineyard. I was year round for probably 20 years.
Nice.
So I had taken my bike to a shop on the vineyard, the only shop on the vineyard. And the guy, it was a single guy, great guy, Panhead Mike. He was overwhelmed constantly. So in order to get my bike worked on, I ended up getting a job there at the shop.
Nice.
Trying to help him push him along. And that's how I got into motorcycle mechanics, was because he got overwhelmed. I was doing the front, and it was busy. And so I started doing a couple of oil changes, and then he got sick kind of early on in that, and all of a sudden it was trial by fire. He got better.
But in the meantime, you're doing
in the
all
meantime,
kinds of
I was
stuff.
left running the shop. Yeah.
Doing stuff you shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the fastest way to learn.
And what I like about both of these stories is you've clearly got two very passionate, very knowledgeable mechanics. Both have gotten where they are by taking different but very legitimate paths. Because MMI, a lot of people trash MMI. They give you a good, solid background. And what people don't understand about MMI, when you get that certificate from MMI that you've qualified, doesn't mean that you're ready to work on bikes. You know the basics, and you've got the basics, and now you need to pay your dues and get your hands dirty actually working at a bike shop, which you of course have done, Bailey. And Ken, you've been drug up, the way a lot of the old school mechanics were, just by figuring it out as you went along.
Oh, yeah, still to this day.
Well, listen, I've been doing this now. 2025 will mark my 47th year as a professional mechanic. I learn something new every day.
Yep.
There is not a single day that goes by that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And you have to keep an open mind like that, especially with old bikes. Because, oh my God, old bikes will torment you if they let you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask
I rode that Sportster for 30 years. I still have it. It needs, it's on the shelf. Most of it's on
yeah, probably
one of
needs
shelves
everything now. So, Ken, do you still specialize in the Harley stuff? So let's say,
I'll be honest, that at Offshore Cycle, it was never we did try to specialize in European and Harley, or American V twin. And, you just couldn't, because there were so many different things, but that was actually turned out to be a blessing, because we had, much like Nova does, we had, everything, all kinds of bikes coming in. I never knew what the next day was.
right. Keep you fresh.
I've started a day on a Vespa and finished on a one of those not, it wasn't an American Choppers, but one of those bikes.
Right. But I mean, you
one of those guys
both have to have bikes that you like. But for Scottie, you've got a question.
Yeah, I was going to ask both Bailey and Ken, coming into this from like this, oh yeah, I just like to take things apart, which many of us did, especially as kids, you know, and we all still do. I think we're all kind of nodding and raising our hands around here. But Bailey, especially coming into this from like a proper education standpoint, and then a dealership where you actually have service manuals for a lot of these things, and now working on a whole wacky variety, like Ken was just talking about, of old bikes. You're constantly having to figure things out. Does the conversation that you have between, hey, we're talking about this, we're dealing with a customer, from the perspective of folks like us who are like, I don't know, just take it apart and figure it out, with customers, for I'm generalizing, probably aren't maybe of that same mindset, right? Because that's why they brought it to you. Mm-hmm. How does that come back to the path that you took to get there, of like, we're all just taking things apart to figure it out, and now we've got to deal with these customers that have this really deep emotional connection and are absolutely not into the take it apart and figure it out sort of thing? Doesn't that become challenging?
Yeah, of course. Man, I don't know. I feel like my brain is kept so sharp. I have to stay on my toes all the time because, like Kent said, we never know what is coming in, and every day looks different. And yeah, sometimes you just have to have like kind of like that blind confidence, you know, that when you get into something, you might not know what you're going to find, but you know that you're going to be able to figure it out. And what, you know, working under Sayre for this many years, it's really, you know, he supported me in my earlier days. You know, I don't have like the procedures. This bike is unknown. Like, you know, the customer has no idea what's going on with it. They just found it, you know, in a field somewhere. So like, you know, we have no story, we have no history. You know, we don't have any manuals, and honestly, manuals, they're good for some things, but they're not going to tell you how to fix an ancient motorcycle with, you know, goodness knows who has been touching it for the last 40 to 50 years. And, you know, so just having the confidence to get in there, see what's going on, and understanding what the machine wants and how to get there. And as far as like the procedure to you know, achieve that, it depends on the project and, you know, the machine itself. And this shop has given me the platform to kind of have that flexibility that if I don't know right away, it's okay, you know. And also the internet is a blessed place. There's so much information, even if it is like horrible information on the forums of people just talking about things that they don't know. It's still, you get in that world and you understand like what other problems people are having, and it just gives you this whole other, you know, insight.
So besides the service manuals and whatever you can divine, there's a whole lore that would come with some motorcycles about things that were broken and workarounds and hacks. Like what's that one on the KLR 650? The doohickey. Yep. Exactly. Knowing about the doohickey on the KLR.
So, it's cam chain tensioner.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to the owners. So when a bike comes in, you've got two mechanics. And I'm sure that both of them approach their jobs very differently. How do you divvy up the work? How do you say, Bailey's going to get this one and Kent's going to get this one? Or do you just kind of play it by ear? I mean, you have to... How long, Kent, how long have you been with them, darling?
I've been here just over, well, not even a year.
Okay, so you've got one mechanic who's been with you from the start for 10 years, one who's been with you for a year, but in a year, you know exactly what Kent can do, and you know what his strengths are, and you know what his weaknesses are. Same with Bailey. You know what his strengths are, you know what her weaknesses are. Does that come into play when a bike comes in, or you just say, hey, it's Tuesday, so it's going to Bailey?
It's a mix for sure. It definitely comes into play. Kent has become by default the Harley guy.
Well, he looks like it.
He looks
I've got
like
to say, yeah. I mean, look, it's half the
Don't look
battle,
at me and
right?
say, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the twins. So,
Yeah, sorry, Ken.
but he has more experience. But I mean, he can rattle off part numbers and what things about Harleys that we can't. So he's got more resources in that regard. Bailey is very good at 80s Japanese plastic bikes. And they drive me insane. So I will sometimes just be like, I'm not going to touch this.
Who's the Brit?
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
God bless you, my child, for you have sinned. So, an Italian?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Scottie back here on the shelf.
Well, I can see that.
Yeah. So
One of the things that we say is we all makes, all models, all years. And then I say it, and then I was like, whose idea was that?
no, I have
except for Royal Enfield singles and Chinese scooters.
Yes.
now I have a question. Yeah, you mentioned scooters. You work on vintage scooters as well. Is that correct?
Vespa's Vespa in Japanese.
So Fuji Rabbits also silver pigeons? Or are you talking about modern Japanese scooters?
Yeah, modern. We don't see vintage, ancient stuff. So
Okay.
basically the big four.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you work on vintage Vespas too, or just modern Vespas?
Yeah, no, vintage.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I am the token scooter guy here. I've been cutting my teeth on vintage European scooters mostly for 33 years now, and so yeah, it really makes me happy to hear that that you're working on vintage bikes as well. In fact, I used to live in Western Massachusetts in Pittsfield when I was in high school, and that's where I found my first bike, which was a 1965 Heinkel Tourist. Don't know if you've ever heard of one of those.
Yeah.
They're kind of rare, but they were actually very, very common in Massachusetts because there was a dealership in Chicopee Falls that was the biggest dealership in North America. So you might see one of those coming around once in a while.
How many units do you have to sell to be the biggest hanky dealer in North America?
It was a total of about 50 that they sold.
No, it brings me to a subject. Tell us about Massachusetts. I mean, I'm sure you've got a 4-season climate. Is it still riding season or is it not riding season anymore?
For some people.
Okay.
People coming in. We had somebody drop off a bike yesterday, rode in. Somebody picked up a bike yesterday, rode out. But most people are done by now.
Yeah, the hardy souls are out riding, mostly to spite themselves.
So with heated seats and heated grips, that goes a long way.
Okay.
Arrow stitches.
So, Bailey.
It was 46 degrees today. And
Oh, you're welcome to that, darling. Oh, no. Emma does not do anything below the mid-50s, and that's cold. So, Bailey, what is the favorite bike you've worked on? Actually, I'm going to phrase that a little better. What's been your favorite job in working for these cats for a decade? What is one job you look back on and you think, dang, if I could do that job over again every day of my life, I would be a happy Bailey?
You're going to think I'm...
No, I'm not.
Oh, no. So it's so funny.
You're gonna have to explain why. So prepare yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't totally figured out why I do this to myself, but there was a sweet first generation Goldwing that it needed the stator done, which is at least a partial motor removal.
Yes.
Yeah, at least twist it in the frame to get to the back of it.
Yes.
While we were at it, he wanted to do the clutch, he wanted to do everything, water pump, all the coolant pipes, rebuild the carbs. I think he had suspension work, water pump stuff. Dare you say that? I don't know. Basically everything that bike needs, I had done. And I don't know. I love that kind of job. I am a Goldwing freak. Even when they get a little plasticky, I don't know what's wrong with me. I love them. But that kind of job was like a pretty that's a comprehensive job. Like, it's just big. And that's not unlike the other jobs I do here. We do a lot of, full frame out, motor out, motor rebuilds, and it's not a foreign thing to us, but for some reason, I don't know. I look back fondly on that one because
it just resonated with you. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy who owned it, he was in love with it. And I was really honest with him what it was going to cost. It's not cheap. Luckily the first gen Goldwings are a lot more, mechanic friendly. There's a lot less shit to remove or stuff to remove to, get to what you need to get to. But he wanted to do everything right. And I really appreciate that. I also appreciate, I can't appreciate when customers are just like, just get me by. So I've had Goldwings like that too, where it's just like, just get me by, patch up that intake leak for now and we'll deal with it later. And, I get that too, because, this stuff costs money and we just want to ride sometimes.
So, and I understand your obsession with Goldwings. I mean, I make no secret. If you ask any of the misfits about Emma's bike, they'll always say she's a Suzuki girl. And I love my Suzukis. But there's also a big place in my heart for very early Goldwings. And I've built a couple of forced induction Goldwings. I built a pink turbo quite recently out of a 76. And I built a blown supercharged 78 many, many years ago. So I love them. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but it sounds like it was satisfaction from the job and the owner as well. So, Ken, you've got less history with the guys, but you've got certainly as long a history of messing around with motorbikes.
Oh, absolutely.
What is your favorite job ever? And why? Why, Ken? Why?
I was, the whole time Bailey was speaking of the Goldwing, I was trying to answer this question for myself. I really don't know it. I'm going to say it depends on the day, depends on my mood, depends on the bike, the weather, how well the job goes.
Right.
My favorite jobs are the ones that I don't think I can accomplish, and then they happen.
And that's always lovely, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
So is there a bike that
I don't really have? I crabbed a frame on a Moto Guzzi to did a clutch job on it, and here twice actually, and that was a really interesting job to me to do that Guzzi frame or clutch.
Yeah, they're quite a challenge, aren't they? You have to kind of dig your way in.
Oh, absolutely. It was it's right up in there.
And and this is the thing a lot of non-mechanical people don't understand is you have a bike and it occupies a space on the ramp. So there you go. You push the bike on the ramp's now full. Now you start taking it apart and it spreads itself over probably a third of the workshop. And it's like, holy shit, how can that thing that was just in the middle of my ramp now be over a third of the workshop? But that's kind of how it is.
They explode.
How is it all going to get back into the space it came out of?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So is there one that almost broke you?
Oh, that's a tough question. Oh, I'm not sure if you should ask that, Johnny.
Everybody's just facing hands.
Yeah, come on. You've got to answer this one too. Yeah, go on, Kent. Have a stab at it.
Man. Yeah, that was here. That was absolutely here.
Do the guys know this?
One of the smallest little bikes I've ever worked on. It was a small frame Vespa.
Oh, yeah. That'll do
it. It just grew into the biggest pain in the ass ever.
Yeah.
And every time I thought we were done with it, every time we thought we were finished, something else popped up, or the same thing popped up again. And something you thought you had cured just wasn't quite there. And if I ever wanted to walk away and maybe just to live in the woods.
I can attest that small frames will make you want to do that. They're brilliant bikes, but they are very difficult to work on.
What is it about them that makes them so challenging?
Well, it sounds like the one you had some particularly difficult issues to deal with, but just in general, the parts are very difficult to get to. Like if you need to get to the carburetor, it's like up inside the frame. To get to the clutch, it's way up in there. You need to drop the engine and stuff like that. So stuff's very inaccessible, and you're in a very it is literally a smaller version of the Vespa frame, so you have less space to work in. And Ken, if you want to add to that, what your experience told you about it.
Yeah, in this particular case, a lot of what really was hard with that job was figuring out, like we were following somebody who did who hot rodded this thing. But yeah, they might have missed a few things here and there.
Yeah, so you're fixing other people's problems at the same time.
Exactly.
and
it had been interfered with.
And so, Ken, how do you deal with that? Do you just kind of walk away and sit in the corner, have a little talk with yourself, or bite your arm, or kick the crap out of an old gas tank round the back of the workshop?
Well, I found with that small frame, I did all of those.
Oh, good. and I'm sure it helped.
Absolutely.
Now, we're not going to dwell on this with you because thank you for baring your heart. And this is a tough subject for mechanics, John. And you introduced it to them.
Yeah.
Bailey, no escape for you. There has to be a bike.
We got to hear Sayer too.
Oh shit! Well, this is almost a career-ending moment. Name it, shame it.
Oh, okay. Well, oh my gosh. Well, my list is actually relatively, I don't know. I won't say long, but like little things can definitely like ruin my whole week. Like dropping a valve in a Ducati head while changing the shims out.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, luckily it was the rear head, so it was easier to just get on and off. I was doing a tire change on I don't remember what it was, but it was a modern BMW with a tire pressure monitor. And when I broke the bead, it snapped the sensor off the rim. And the customer was coming back in 45 minutes for his bike to go on a trip.
Oh,
that sucks. I had a little cry.
Did you make it happen?
I'm a crier. I have a little cry, and then I get back to work.
Oh, I do that as well.
Yeah,
usually in front of the customer, and I find it helps. You get the sympathy.
Yeah. I rebuilt a CD750, and when I put the cam sprockets back on, I remember Loctiting them because I put blue Loctite on them, torque them, whatever, but somehow they came loose. And through all of his valves, he's the cam slipped and the timing slipped. He threw all his valves, so I had to redo his whole top end again. This is all gross.
But all this is
I'm a mechanic, I promise.
Yeah, but all of this are the perils of working on bikes. But here we are, and I'm guessing it's a successful business. It sure looks successful. You two are making a living. You're supporting 2 full-time mechanics doing this. Is this a good living for you all?
To be honest, the mechanics make more money than either us.
Well, that actually is not uncommon in the industry. I remember years and years ago a shop owner saying to me, if you are a mechanic and you own a shop, you have a massive advantage because your single most expensive resource is going to be your mechanic, whether you pay them hourly or flat rate. You've got to pay a mechanic far more than you pay a salesman and far more than you pay a parts person. So I mean, are you running Nova motorcycles right now? I mean,
is it a non-profit organization or does it make money?
Well, I mean, are you running it as a business to make money, or really it's almost as a service for the community now? Because I know you're doing teaching as well which I'm thoroughly impressed with. If I had more people, I'd do teaching as well.
Yeah, we're trying to expand that too, because it's been, what we've done has had a lot of really good feedback for it. But we're not a nonprofit. We hope to someday, make enough to be a little comfortable. But that being said, nobody gets into this business to make money.
No.
I personally do it because I'd rather do this than work a real job. Even though this is harder work, and I'm up nights counting money in my head, and I also, I do reps on the bikes too. So it's
right.
But it's better.
I'm going to ask you, and you're the best one to give this because you're the British guy. What is the one job where you really, where you considered jumping off a bridge? And don't tell me you never had one. You cannot work on British bikes without contemplating a gory suicide, let me tell you.
Well, I will say there's been some customers that
Oh, let it all out. Come on now.
I feel like we're just speaking different languages. So the bike is difficult, and then the things that happen to it, I feel like, somebody keeps on giving me the okay to keep going on a machine and spending money, and then it gets upset about the money they're spending. And so that becomes, when the customer isn't happy, I take it very personally. It's a real bummer for me, and it's a bummer for them because they've spent money. But when somebody is just never happy, it really, really gets to me.
Right.
So I've had some of those. My most recent thing I really had a meltdown about a year ago is not a Brit bike, but it's a vintage CZ. Custom build on, and I think I have this sort of attention that if I know something's going to be really hard when I get into it, I don't mind anything that comes at it. But if I think it's supposed to be easy and it turns out to be really hard, I just lose my patience. So this bike is, in theory, it's a vintage CZ, which is really a Jawa. And there's 90% of the parts for the bike are available from the Czech Republic really affordably, but the 10% that aren't are completely unavailable and gone.
Vital.
And vital, right? So I spent 6 months trying to find a piston. I finally realized I would have to use a 175 piston and a 125, basically make it into a 150 to make it all work. And then when I finally decided that, I couldn't get the 175 top end anywhere. So I found the piston, but not the top end. I ended up finding it in Belarus, I believe.
Wow.
And that won, and I had to open a strange app to pay for it. And, it's like, it's just all these weird things that just, that take a while. And, I can find that stuff really fun. If it was a restoration and I didn't feel pressured by it, I think I'd be fine with that. Be kind of fun with that. But this was supposed to be a custom build, and it's actually the last custom build we're doing for our customer, because I just said, you know what, this is never worth it. We're losing so much time and money. We love doing custom stuff, and Pete is an amazing designer, but we're going to do them on our own from this point on. We're just going to lose money doing them. We're going to build them on ourselves from our own dime, and then sell them when we're done, rather than do them as a club.
I'm so glad you mentioned Pete, because Pete, you're the guy we haven't really heard from as yet, and I feel that we've been terribly unfair to you. So, let's talk a little bit about custom design, because I've seen some of the cafe racers you put together, and a solid cafe racer begins with a solid design. So this is where you shine, isn't it?
Yeah, that's sort of my background, and that's what drew me to Sayre. Was I had my first bike. I kind of came late to it. I didn't get a bike until I was in my 30s.
Well, we're glad you came.
Yeah, and I bought I'm a BMW guy, so I had an R100.
We call those BMWs at Mototown.
Fair enough. And I'm drawn to the aesthetics of that. I think that it's a beautiful bike, and so I sort of brought it to Sayre, and I was like, you know what, I want to do some custom stuff to this, and he sort of poo-pooed it right away because it was kind of a classic already.
But you wanted to put really big wheels on it.
Well, I didn't really know what I was doing then, but then I got a CB350 that sort of landed in my lap, and I was like, this would be a good, project bike to test our sort of our merits on creating a cafe racer. So that's where we sort of started. And I think it was right at the beginning of the pinnacle, when all those, the One Moto show and Handbuilt and all that was just starting, and it was like there was like a real surge in the custom scene. Like blogs like Bike XIF and things were sort of starting to take off. So we hit that sort of right at the stride. We did go to the one show, we did the Handbuilt show, we did a bunch of stuff with different bikes, and but I think that aesthetic part was what drew me into it, and but what I didn't realize was that it sort of tangles with the mechanical so much. So I had to learn a lot myself as far as like the mechanical side of it. Now I don't wrench day to day here, and I'm only here a couple days a week. So these guys are in the trenches most of the time. And
yeah, but nevertheless, when I look back at my career, I'm a wrench through and through. And I've worked as a lead technician. I've worked as an entry level, done the journeyman stuff. And I'm a wrench, and that's the beginning and end of it. But I've always been drawn to design. I mean, if wrenching is the meat and potatoes, the spicy flavor is the actual design. And I hold people who can actually design well in very, very high esteem, because any clown can build an ugly bike. But if you want to build a pretty bike, you really need your wits about you. And I learned very early on with my custom builds, you can concentrate on the details all you want, but you'd better take 3 or 4 paces back and look at what you're building. Because if it's going south, if it's too high in the front or too high in the back or too short or too long, you can bolt all the pretty parts that you want on it, and it's going to be butt ugly.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the design part of it is really about the subtraction. I think that, the how few things can still look beautiful is what I look at it. And of course, when you're talking with motorcycles, especially ones that still need to drive and be inspectable in Massachusetts, which is one of the most difficult states for safety and all that stuff. So it's like, okay, how can we hit all those criteria, still make a bike that's not just a show bike, that rides and drives and is, somewhat comfortable and is safe. And I find that the most challenging part. Like, I feel like there's a classic sort of line that there's like certain rules that I definitely stick to. And and I'm really a visual person, so I can visualize what something's going to look like at first view. Like, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to do here. But then once we get into the details where it has to have reflectors in Massachusetts, it has to have DOT blinkers, chain guards, things like that. Stuff where usually gets deleted right away. How do we still manage that and still make it look good?
So can we talk a little bit about that? Now, obviously, we're in California, and a lot of people are going to groan about this, but California always has been and always will be very kind to motorcyclists. It's a very, very easy state to ride in. We've got a lot of laws that appertain overall. But I think in the big scheme of things, especially for those of us that build custom motorcycles, there's always ways of navigating around it. And it sounds like in Massachusetts, you're kind of up against it far more than we are. Now, are the Highway Patrol pretty knowledgeable about this? Are you going to get pulled over on a custom bike and the officer's going to go, where are your turn signals? Where's your chain guard? He's going to get a measuring stick on your tail light and make sure it's a proper height. Is that actually going to happen?
It depends on where you are, but I've heard it happening. You're not supposed to run a vertical plate in Massachusetts, and I've heard people getting pulled over for that. At an inspection, once they've measured the distance between the brake light and how far the blinkers were, because it has to be a minimum distance in Massachusetts.
Wow.
Yep.
So I've heard of them doing that, like pulling out a ruler. Me personally, I don't really get bikes inspected, and the cops in our area don't always know. We've had people say, talking about getting a motorcycle inspection, and a police officer saying, "Oh, you have to get those inspected." Like,
Okay.
so it's mixed, and I think it depends on who. If the policeman is a rider, they may be more lenient or more stringent. It depends.
And often we find that in California, the toughest highway patrol officers are the bike riders. And they base it on the fact that, hey, we're out here on these things in this jungle every day, and we're not going to cut you any slack. Conversely, some of the most lenient also tend to be the motorcycle riders because, there's that kind of...
Because they're out in it every day.
Yeah, because they're out in it every day. So, tell us a little bit, what town are you in?
We're in Turners Falls, Massachusetts.
Well, tell us a little bit about Turners Falls, Massachusetts. Now, bear in mind, we have a worldwide audience. There are going to be people in Australia and England and other places throughout the world. Their only knowledge of Massachusetts were, isn't that where Jaws was set? Or that's where Cheers was set. So that's it. So tell us a little bit about, is it rural, urban? What kind of place is it?
Yeah. Well, so Turners Falls is technically a village of a larger town called Montague. The population of Montague is about 8,000, so pretty small. We're just east of the Connecticut River, which runs from Vermont through Massachusetts down through Connecticut. We're about 2 hours west of Boston. We're pretty close to the Vermont border. So we're like rural area. The next town over is Greenfield, which is about 20,000. So that's the biggest population center in our most close towns. But we have lots of back roads. We can drive from our shop in under 4 minutes, be in a cornfield or a cow pasture. But then we're about 3.5 hours from New York City. So it's sort of an interesting area. And because we do what we do, we have customers from all over, including New York and New Jersey.
And that was what I was dovetailing into. I mean, it sounds like you're in a fairly small town, but you draw your customers in from everywhere, really.
Yeah. There's not that many people working on old bikes, and we hear it all the time. People go to dealerships and they won't work on anything older than 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's very much a source of complaint amongst motorcyclists. And there's some very, very valid reasons for that. Now, I'll stick up for dealers when they need sticking up for. And that 10-year rule makes absolute sense for dealers. And it's based on a lot of things. First and foremost, of course, is liability. But secondly, the way the manufacturers structure their parts. Generally, manufacturers are not that interested in manufacturing parts for bikes that are over 10 years old. The exception, of course, is Suzuki, who've got their Heritage Parts program, and Honda are kind of getting into that now. But it makes absolute sense for dealers who are very much into the turn and burn. You're PDIing bikes, you're doing safety inspections on bikes, you're putting tires on bikes, doing oil chops on bikes. Get them in, get them out, get the cash in the till. It makes sense for them not to work on older bikes, which gives shops like yours an opportunity. Let's have a look. I mean, we're getting a little short of time. We've got 5 minutes. Where do you, and this is a question for all of you, where do you see your shop going in 5 years? Do you see more teaching, more custom, more vintage? Do you ever would want to see Bailey and Kent take over the shop so you guys can retire? How do you see it panning out?
I'll start off on that one. Just for the record, Bailey is now a co-owner of the shop too. That's as of this year.
Oh, nice. Well done!
Yes.
our first hire, now a partner. And I have dreams of having some of the day-to-day management shift to Bailey and the team. We have a fifth member of the team who is not with us out here tonight, but so the administrative help. I have dreams of that so that I can do more of the specialized weird bike stuff. And also we have a dream of opening a cafe up here in this, where we're sitting right now, to maybe have something for the people who are into motorcycles or like our scene, but don't want to buy a bike, or used to ride, don't anymore, or just want a cool place to hang out. At the heart of this, I personally got into this because I wanted to be around people who like to do cool stuff. I like to drink coffee. I like to ride motorcycles. So that's part of where I want to see it go. But,
so one thing I was checking out is the area where you're at. Looks like there's a lot of good riding nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very lucky about that. We do a couple riding events. We do like a somewhat of a takeoff on the Moto Giro, except we just do a 1-day event and it's sort of much more casual. But we are blessed with really good roads in the area because we're so rural. So if anyone's looking for ride ideas, hit us up. Because we've been doing this event, we keep all of our routes and everything, so I can send those to you.
So I've got this idea in my mind. I have relatives that live in upstate New York, so you're not too far from that area. They're in the Catskills. And be a nice day ride to come out and visit you guys.
So let's hear from Bailey and Ken. If we were to get in a time machine and come back and visit you in 2029, well, 2030 really, because we're nearly there. Where would you two be, Bailey?
All right. I want a Ferris wheel and a hot air balloon.
Jet boots. You want jet boots that you can strap on your jet boots and go flying around. Because I want them.
I want to make this area and our little compound here is so cute. I don't know. We're right next to a skate park and a playground and an athletic field. There's an awesome park and a bike path right by the river. It's beautiful. And the community here is awesome. And I want to develop that. I want more food. We have some food trucks right across the way here. We have plans for maybe building like a community center, to maybe do more teaching, have more teaching opportunities.
So really make Nova a destination.
Yeah, I'm kind of joking about the Ferris wheel, but not because
I get
almost
it.
Like a touristy thing because it's right off of a main highway off of Route 2, and if we could pull people in and there's a bike shop
and you could have a motorcycle themed Ferris wheel where you sit in an old sidecar.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Genius, really.
And the wheel has big spokes on it.
There you go. Ken, you've been there a year. I mean, this is your time. This is time for you to lay your cards on the table. I mean, it's a time for honesty and clarity. Are you going to hang out here? Do you like it here?
Oh, I'm here until they throw me out.
Good-o! And so 5 years, you're still going to be here. Do you really want to develop the Harley side, or are you kind of getting a passion for working on the weird European stuff now?
Again, it for me it depends on the day. I love working on the Harleys, but with the exception of that small frame, I love working on the Vespas just as much.
Cool.
I will say I do like test riding the Harleys more than test riding the Vespa.
There you go.
There's that.
There you go. Well, what a lovely team.
Till someone sees you punchline, right?
Yeah, right. But what a great team. And what comes through to me is just this lovely passion you have, because it is different working on old bikes. You're dealing with people's memories. You're dealing with things that are very, very precious to them. And you have to be so careful with that, because if you wreck somebody's bike that belonged to their dad, who's been dead for 20 years and it's their only memory. I mean, it's a big responsibility. And I look at your videos and I look at the website, and you're doing such a great job of caring for these old things, because really we're all just caretakers. You know, these things come into our life for a short period of time and we love them as best as we can. And then, you know, we let them go to the next person. And you're doing such a lovely job of that. You absolutely have the Misfit seal of approval. How do people find out what you do? What is the easiest way for people to find out who you are, what you do, what you're about, and what color Bailey's hair is? Because it's quite spectacular.
Thank you.
Well, we're on the usual. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. I've had a YouTube channel for the past 2 years, which is mostly me yammering on a weekly basis of just what's in the shop, a certain bike that we like to talk about. And maybe we have a website, www.novamotorcycles.com.
And on the Instagram, all those were at Nova Motorcycles, plural, NOVA Motorcycles. And yeah, check out the YouTube. We've been working really hard on that, trying to grow the audience. And we've been posting a video every week for the last 2 years almost.
Oh, wow.
It's starting to get there. So
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, the Tube of Views is it's a great resource. And, you know, something you said really resonated with me, that when you originally started Nova, it was really a way of meeting the community. And if we go back to the very, very genesis of the Recycle Garage, because, of course, Motorcycles and Misfits was born out of the Recycle Garage. And at the beginning of every show, we do the same introduction. Welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage. And the Recycle Garage was founded by Liza, getting on for 20 years now, as a means of meeting fellow motorcyclists. You know, Liza found herself kind of as an odd duck and wanted to meet more like-minded people. So she thought the best way to do it was open a community garage.
She might still be looking.
And she may still be looking. Well, she found us. I mean, that's
did.
either a blessing or a curse,
Exactly.
depending on your point of view. And that really, it turns full circle for me. What motorcycling is all about is being part of this community.
absolutely.
Because the best part of motorcycling are the motorcycle riders. They always, you know, they drive you mad and they confound you and they make you fall in love with them all over again, and they make you want to go and sit round the corner, have a little talk with yourself and bite your arm. But it's the community. And, you know, we're all part of this lovely, lovely community. And I wouldn't change a minute of my life. And I don't think any of you would either. I see shaking heads.
Work and seeing these guys.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been great. I encourage anyone listening to this podcast, check them out. They do some lovely stuff. And I can't remember a time when I saw such an eclectic mix of motorcycles. You want to talk about mid-80s Honda Interceptors? They're there. You want to talk about vintage English? They're there. Valuable? Yes. Not so valuable? Yes. Scooters? Just, it's across the board. And they come in broken and they leave fixed, right?
For the most part.
There you go. Anybody in the room got anything to add?
Yeah, are you guys going to be at the one moto shows, the one in Vegas and or the one in Portland this year?
Probably not this year. We haven't gone since pandemic, really, right? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you should consider it again. I mean,
Well, especially since AM Expo is the same time.
Right. I used to exhibit regularly at the one show, and then, you know, the post-pandemic, and it's really coming up again. I mean, to be honest with you, right now, I think for custom, the one show's number one. And the Zidell Shipyards is a wonderful location. I don't know how the new one in Vegas is panning out. I think Tor himself is saying, well, it may be the only one we ever do in Vegas. We're going to see how it pans out. But the Portland one's wonderful. And it's always a good opportunity for us as Misfits to get to hang out with people that we've interviewed in the past. And you can actually meet us in the flesh. You'll be mightily underwhelmed, I promise you.
And I just want to say, next time I ride my Vespa to the East Coast, I will definitely come and pay you a visit.
And he bloody will as well.
Yep.
You guys are all welcome. Yeah.
Fantastic. Scottie, Craig, Neil.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Such a pleasure to find out more about what you're doing there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. And
keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hope to see you at the one show soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for us. Good to chat with you.
Ciao, guys. Ciao.
Bye.
What a great bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Absolutely.
Super inspiring.
Oh, no, absolutely. And, you know, we go back full circle. When you're working on older bikes, you really, you have to have your wits about you. You know, number one thing you need? Patience.
I was just about to say
Patience. Oh, my God. Over and over again. And sometimes you have to do the same job 2 times, 3 times. And the rules change as they go along. Let's say a bike rolled off the line in the late 1960s. The gasoline and the oil that bike was designed to run on is very different to the stuff we can get today.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all bad. I mean, the oil we get today is far better than the oil we got in the 1960s.
The gasoline, not so much.
The gasoline, not so good.
Well, it's nice that it doesn't have so much lead in it.
Well, that
For the
is good.
children.
Yes.
for the children.
Yeah.
But the ethanol we could do without.
For the babies. Yes, absolutely. Those babies.
I was waiting for that one.
Yeah, well, no, it's been a common theme today. So,
Got some
John,
emails. Yeah.
well, you know, do we have any emails
We do,
this
yeah.
week? Well, before we get into emails, Craig, you are here for a reason. And you sent me an email earlier this week, and I was going to read it, but I'm not going to bother now because you're here.
I'm here for many reasons. Many reasons.
State
But
your
one,
case, matey boy.
I wanted to let everyone know our company, Pacific Motorcycle Training. You've probably heard us a time or two on the podcast. We got some Black Friday specials if anyone wants to train with us at any of our 6 locations in the Bay Area. Ooh. We have 15% off all our higher level classes. So intermediate riding clinic, advanced riding clinic, and advanced riding clinic level 2, the total control street motorcycle courses. If you want those codes, they're available. IRC Black Fry, ARC Black Fry, or ARCL2 Black Fry are all of the, for each class, those are the discount codes. If anyone wants to come for us, we only do those discounts once a year for the Black Friday drop. And you can visit us at pacificmotorcycletraining.com if you want to check any of our classes. We also do the beginner licensing classes at 5 locations. And we're also looking for instructors. So if anyone wants to come play with motorcycles and teach the newbies, give us a shout out on the website, and appreciate you all listeners out there.
And, you know, I want to talk a little bit about being an instructor, because if you're a people person and you have patience, it really is a wonderful opportunity, because what better than, you know, bringing people into this giant family and making people feel comfortable within this. But it's also a big responsibility, right, Craig?
Indeed it is. You get the first chance, many students is the first time they've ever touched a motorcycle. So
and it's the first time they've ever been around motorcycle people. So
which is different in itself.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're an asshole, they're going to be like, what the hell is wrong with motorcycle people?
Right.
But you've got a really, really good team. Hey, I've got a question for you. You're doing a Christmas party this year.
Oh, well, you have to check with the big bosses. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. But
I'm going to point out, in previous years, there's been a Christmas party, and as the independent mechanic who looks after the Pacific Fleet, I've been invited, and I've often had far too many gin and tonics, and I had to have a little nap.
The one that you came to was one of my favorite of all time when we were at the museum.
That was great. We should do this again. No, I insist that you have a Christmas party this year. You heard it here, guys.
I think I need an invite to this.
Yeah, you don't get an invite. This is for VIPs only. Joking aside, Pacific really are very serious about what they do. You're serious about raising the standard of operating motorcycles. And even if you've been riding for a few years, Neil, how long you been riding?
About 55 years.
You take the advanced course, you're going to learn something. I guarantee you.
It was a challenge.
I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And the intermediate course is great for people who are just like coming back or... Well, anyone really, I suppose.
We get riders who have been riding 60 plus years who take and get a lot out of the intermediate. It's a great intro into the advanced level classes as well.
Right.
And,
but the advanced, I mean, it's total control, isn't it? So you really get into the mechanics of how a bike functions, why it functions, why dangerous situations occur. I mean, it's real nuts and bolts stuff, isn't it?
Real nuts and bolts. And in the advanced class, we really focus on the 10 steps of proper cornering, which is where a lot of riders get in trouble who have been riding many, many decades, can still find themselves doing improper things, even after many, many, many years of riding. So we correct bad habits, really focus on high speed cornering, low speed cornering. We work on vision and get people set up to continue and have lifelong motorcycling careers.
And, you know, I often find myself doing improper things and inappropriate behavior, but just in the boudoir, darling. Just in the boudoir.
And that's why we love you.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, it's that time of year. We haven't really got any ride reports because nobody's riding.
I went out for kind of an epic ride last night.
Did you go for it? Well, tell us about your epic ride, Scottie.
Well, yeah. So I'm
holding out on us.
Well, I don't know. I was on kid duty most of this weekend.
Well, that sucked.
But I also...
Babies! Babies! Yeah, we're looking after the babies!
I also found out recently that just this last week, one of my favorite roads in our region, which had been closed for quite some time.
Oh, Highway 1? Nascimento Ferguson.
I saw the memo.
Nasty Ferguson.
It's up again. Oh,
Nasty
right.
Ferguson is
Like
open.
years, 4 years or something.
Yes.
So
Can you get there?
Yes.
I did.
Oh.
And I made it back.
Nice.
Yeah. So Nascimento Ferguson, for those of you who don't know where we're talking about, this is a very steep 1 to 1.5 lane wide,
Right.
dual direction travel road that goes all the way from the coast in the epic and scenic Big Sur
Straight up.
coast, and within about 5 miles gains 3,000 feet.
Wow. You've got two ways of riding Nascimento Ferguson, Scottie.
Yeah.
You can do it from the coast and ride up.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people prefer that because when you're riding the most challenging part, you're going uphill and you're fresh.
I feel differently about this. I think the most challenging part is the east side.
It's far. It's a haul to get to the east side.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you end up basically on a military base.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you end up at King City almost.
Yeah.
Anyhow, there's this, but it's
So
a very
does this
narrow.
kind of go through Ventana National? Or
Yeah, it
State
goes
Park?
right through the Los Padres wilderness. But it's
Okay.
and it's like regionally close to here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been closed for years, and it's an access point to the piece of the coast. But
Right.
I was like, I found out earlier this week. I was like, oh, it's open. When's the soonest I can get there? And it turned out that I could leave yesterday at about 4:30.
You did it at night?
Yeah. So I rode down
Dang.
yesterday to King City and then over to the coast, back down to.
So you
back
did
up.
the windy, twisty stuff at the end of the ride when you were at your most fatigued.
Well,
Did you camp or you just did
No,
it?
I just did it as a little loop.
Okay.
Well, that's not a little loop.
It's about 300 miles.
It's a little loop.
And then, but I disagree because I think the side coming up from
From Big Sur?
No.
The one.
Coming up from the one
Yeah.
is actually much more technical and challenging. It's not as scenic, and there's no big drop off on the side, but there's so many more weird corners that I was sliding all over the place because it was just so many weird corners with like leaves and stuff in the middle of them.
In the dark.
That's the side I feel is the most technical, rising up from the one to get you up. Because for all those reasons, it's very, very technical.
Both sides are pretty gnarly.
Did they pave it or is it still tore up?
No, it's all paved.
Oh, so
Nice.
So there you go. So now we've got somewhere nice to ride.
Yeah, and I remember riding it before it was closed, and it was a pretty rough road back then. So that's really nice.
The Suzuki 900 will love it.
There are a lot of landslides and rocks and large boulders and leaves and things. So it's a fairly interesting. You're on your toes the whole time,
especially at
nighttime.
If you left at 4:30, you must have did like 286 miles of it in the dark.
I have good headlights.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Is Pruitt Ridge open?
One thing I should mention is that
The whole thing's open.
That part of one from the other side looks like it's closed.
Oh yeah, so you can get to the one, but then you have to go south.
Oh.
Yeah. You can't go back up to north to Monterey.
Oh, so you have to go down to 46, cut across 46 to Paso Robles.
Yeah.
And go. Oh, okay. So that's doable though.
But it was lovely. It wasn't super cold,
right?
But it was clear, and I stopped a couple times. I was with the neighbor for part of it, and the starlight was the only light.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was so cool. I had a shadow, and we had the planets reflecting off the ocean.
You know,
it was really cool.
Always reminded how lucky we are to be able to do this in California, because a lot of our listeners right now, I mean, in England's under snow.
Yeah.
You know, I saw snow. The thing that Americans find very, very hard to understand about England, it snows on the beach. In the wintertime, it snows at sea level.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly to a California, it's like, what? Because there's this notion that snow only happens at elevation, right, John?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Snows in New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey sure it gets snow.
Definitely snows in Massachusetts, that's for sure.
That said,
Vineyard.
I know for a fact there are people who are riding their motorcycles right now in England. I know it because they're like masochists and they like being out in the cold and freezing.
But to your point, it was relatively warm last night, relatively dry.
It was a very pleasant night. It was a lot warmer than it has been.
It was nice.
Oh, very nice. Well, what a lovely ride. And thank you for letting us know. Yeah, I'd read somewhere it was open.
I'm glad you reminded me, too, because I saw the article, forgot about it, and that's a great road.
There was something I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to talk about it at the beginning of the show because, you see, I see us as actually legitimate journalists. And if we can get to the bottom of a story that's doing the rounds, we will. And I did. So this week, and I don't know where it came from, there's a lot of excitement because none other than Toshihiro Suzuki said, Suzuki's returning to MotoGP.
That's awesome.
And we're going to win.
Wow.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. Stop. So everybody got so excited about this. Oh, Suzuki's coming back to MotoGP. And I would like nothing more because Emma's a Suzuki girl, right?
Right.
He made that statement 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
And why it's doing the rounds now, I don't know. Will Suzuki return to MotoGP? I certainly hope so.
What was the reason they left? Money.
Yeah, it's simple as that.
It's inexpensive.
You know, and Suzuki kind of got a little bit embroiled in this diesel emissions thing as well. See, people forget Suzuki are quite the car manufacturer, and because they pulled out of America doesn't mean they don't sell vehicles elsewhere.
Yeah.
And
they're huge in India.
Huge in
Latin
India.
America, yeah.
And they got involved in a little bit of a controversy with their diesels being dirty, and they were telling little fibs about how dirty they actually were. And that cost them buku bucks. But yeah, it's money. Some people have actually speculated that the whole diesel thing cost them a little less than they were expecting. So now they're like, oh, we got money, let's go back to GP. Listen, and this is just my opinion, it ain't going to happen till 27.
But does this also tie in nicely with the engine size change?
Yeah, I think so. Because they're talking about 750.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody makes a more competitive 750 than Suzuki. Nobody.
Yeah.
Oh, they're returning of the GSX-R 750?
Well, wouldn't that be nice?
Ooh.
If that's the platform they go with, because they might develop their own V-twin. But it ain't gonna, I guarantee you, it ain't gonna happen before 2020.
TL 1000?
Maybe.
Redo the...
Short stroke TL 1000?
Oh, yeah.
Stop.
Goodness,
Stop.
That'd be an everything beater.
Hmm.
Because you know what? That TL 1000, that is a stout performing bike. And you short stroke it, oh shit.
Could you take a TL 1000 and short stroke it in Mototown?
Yeah, probably. If I wanted. If I wanted to kill myself. No, I've got other projects at Mototown. Actually, no, I've just finished. I just finished my GS850G. So,
It's beautiful, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
oh, you see it in the flesh. It's like wild. It really is.
I want to see the paint, the paint pieces.
I rode it for the first time this morning with Bagel watching.
Yeah.
And it went down the road okay. I've just got a little bit of tweaking to do with the timing, but it rides good. It's very, very smooth. You know, those big old 70s bikes. It's like sitting on a couch. Big old thing. No brakes, no handling. Classic 70s bike, lots of power. I know.
Yep.
But they're a lot of fun. Emails. We need to, because we're running short of time.
Wow.
So we need to get to some emails.
All right.
Who's got an email?
Bagel.
I've got one.
Yeah, speak up, Bagel.
So I have an email here from Neil Kumbiatis. He writes...
Where's Neil from?
Well, I'll get to that. He says, "Hello, Misfits. The weirdest thing just happened to me today. We have been blessed with an extended riding season here in southern Ontario, but..."
Oh, is he?
Hoser.
Oh, yeah.
Is he a hoser?
I don't know about that. But he says, "But with the forecast looking grim, the time has finally come to park my beloved 2019 Indian Scout bobber at its off-site winter home. I've had various motorcycles over the last few years, but this time it was different. In the past, I've simply parked my bike, closed the garage door, and walked away without a second thought. They were simply motorcycles parked for the winter. This time, as I put the cover on and walked away, I felt sad. This bike has been a companion to me. I've never had an emotional connection to a machine before, and didn't realize that I could. Has anyone else experienced this before? I feel like my best friend is going away for a few months."
Oh.
Attaches a picture just before the last ride of the year. "Continued love of the podcast, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Neil."
You know,
Thanks, Neil.
it
Thanks,
is.
Neil.
Love to hear
It is a great email, Neil. And you're absolutely right. You are saying goodbye to your friend. But don't make it like a 6-month goodbye. Just because you can't ride him doesn't mean you can't visit.
Yep.
Lay your hands on your bike, clean your bike. Just spend time with your bike.
Get into
Start
it.
it.
Get
Warm
into
it
that airbox. Clear out all the bugs.
Yeah,
And,
clean out the bugs, clean out the mouse shit.
Change a tire.
Don't make me come over there, pee in the airbox, tell you you've got a rodent problem, and give you $300 for it. But yeah, it is hard. You know, when you say goodbye to a friend, even if it's temporary, it's always hard. But the good news is your Indian will be waiting for you in the spring.
Oh, yes.
And how sweet will that be? John,
Yeah, I got one here.
squeak to me.
This is from Mary Kay.
Oh, Mary Kay
She
from
does
Florida.
not drive a pink Cadillac. Sorry, Mary Kay.
Hey, Mary Kay.
Hey, folks, just a quick question. Do y'all have any advice on motorcycle security against theft? Oh, I have decided to get a new Honda Monkey after the new year to learn how to ride.
Good choice. Good
Nice.
choice, Mary.
Podcast 600 was a blast. Stoked I got to experience it on Zoom with you all. Thank you, Mary Kay.
Yay.
Oh, that's great.
I wonder how her CB 350's going.
Yes.
I mean, tree fitty?
Tree fitting.
Tree fitting. Yeah, motorcycle theft. It's always a thing, isn't it? It's kind of like, it's like the dirty thing about motorcycling we don't want to talk about.
And I want to say a few things about this because I've had a bike stolen before, and the luckily it was recovered, my first Vespa. But the key to motorcycle safety is that there is nothing that will make your bike 100% secure.
Mm-hmm.
What the goal is to make your bike as more of a deterrent to being stolen than a temptation to being stolen. So if you chain your bike up with a really big, heavy chain to a metal pole that can't be easily cut, that's going to take too much time for a thief to bother with and risk him getting caught. So they're not going to mess with it. If it's a little cable lock, they can just take a pair of cable cutters and just snip, put the bike in the van and off. They're gone in 30 seconds. So what you want to do is make it as difficult as possible for a thief to steal your bike. If your bike's a big, heavy bike, you might be able to get away with a caliper lock and or a throttle lock, because if they can't pick the bike up, they're going to have a really hard time stealing it, right? But if you have a lighter bike like a Vespa
or a monkey,
or a monkey, or a CT70, like we've had stolen from the garage here before,
a cheeky monkey.
Yes,
is it a cheek? It is a cheeky.
You really need to lock up those cheeky monkeys.
Do you have a licence for your minky?
Yes, a licence.
But the goal is just make it as difficult as possible to steal, or even surprise the thief. For example, having a motion activated theft system or something like a light that comes on, or a camera, or an audio announcement that plays when somebody comes into your place where your bike is stored, or
red hot electrodes in the testicles, things like that.
Well, that's a little tricky to set that up so they'd fall into that trap, but
it's quite delicious if it did.
Well, it would definitely be a deterrent, that's for sure.
Yes.
But another thing is
nuts.
like a motion sensor alarm on your bike too. If the bike gets moved at all, it sends off a high-pitched alarm. That's going to make the thief think twice, because unless they can get it in the bike like right that second,
right,
they're going to get caught, because somebody's going to notice and see it, and putting themselves at risk.
Yes, Johnny.
A couple of years ago, we did after the AIM Expo.
ABUS.
We did the thing on ABUS locks,
Yeah.
and I bought a couple of them.
They have some burly chains, some burly U-locks.
Yeah.
They're not
it was
cheap,
fun.
but
It
they're
was
worth
fun
it.
interviewing him.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not cheap. But anybody who's had a bike stolen, I've had a bike stolen. Honestly, it rips a hole in your heart.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's terrible.
It's a violation.
My recommendation, because I get asked it all the time, and I just say full coverage insurance. That's the best of it all, because then take it, get a new one.
It doesn't help with a custom bike or an older bike.
It doesn't help with that. There's always holes in it. But if you have a commuter or one that
it's insurance helps, and insurance is expensive, but get good insurance, get it with a name brand company. Insurance is like tires. If you recognize the brand, you're doing okay. If you don't recognize the brand, they may not pay out when your bike gets stolen,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's my turn, I believe. I have something here from Chad Butler.
Hey, Chad.
How's it?
Dearest Misfits, first off, a public service announcement to announce that any motorsexuals, I'm one of them, who might be listening, that there's an Australian band called Amel and the Sniffers.
Oh, yeah, I love them.
What a fantastic name. With a video on YouTube in which the band members are all riding pillion on choppers through the Joshua Tree Desert.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking mesmerizing. The song is called Big Dreams. Do you know this song, Scottie?
I do, yeah. I'm a big fan of it.
Sing us a little piece of it, or
not?
No, there's no singing. There's no singing in Misfits, John.
Oh, okay.
yeah, John.
Just
come
crying.
on.
Thank you.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's a great video.
I can sing.
No, you can't sing, mate. There is no singing in Misfits. Don't make me come over there. Anyway, where are we? You see, you made me lose it now.
Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
made me lose my stop. No, I've gone
Timmy's riding pillion on the back.
Yes.
Joshua
No,
Tree.
here we go. No, we're getting there. God, my phone's running slowly. And he says the song's called Big Dreams, which is appropriate because these bikes were all built from dreams. And many of us, including myself, often dream of building a chopper someday. I've built a chopper. Something of note in the video is that all of these choppers had rear suspension, which is uncommon in the world of choppers, which leads me to ask, tell me why.
Tell me why.
a hardtail is such a standard choice. I think I'd prefer to have the bike I want to customize to keep the rear suspension for comfort, control, and because my friend's ashes are inside the frame tubes. It's a 1979 Harley Fat Bob that lived in Velveeta, so the accent should be easy for the Bagel. Live to ride and ride to eat, Chad Butler.
Wow.
Scio? Skyo?
Scio.
Scio.
Yep.
Scio in Oregon.
Yep.
So look,
Yeah, I've been through there.
yeah. So brief thing about choppers. Choppers were invented immediately after the Second World War. And you got all of these guys that had come out of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and were used to a life of excitement, basically taking pot shots at the enemy and kicking the crap out of people and having a groovy time. Well, they came back and found life in suburban America quite pedestrian by comparison. However, there was light at the end of the horizon because there were a ton of ex-military bikes that you could get for no money.
Yep, military surplus.
Military
WLAs
surplus.
and such
So
like
you
that.
could get yourself an ex-military motorcycle, chop all of the extraneous stuff off it, hence the term chopper,
Yep.
or bob the rear fender, hence the term bobber,
Mm-hmm.
and hang out with your mates and get drunk and smash at bars and have a groovy time.
Yep.
So all of these bikes...
You just want to get loaded.
Yeah, exactly. All of these bikes had hardtails, so that became the uniform look,
It's a standard.
the standard.
Yep.
So they were
The-
stock hardtail.
There was stock hardtail.
Yeah.
You know, you see a Harley Davidson WLA 45 from the Second World War, it's a hardtail bike.
Yep.
Now, a traditional chopper should have a hardtail because it's a traditional chopper. And there is another advantage. The classic lines of a good chopper are low in the rear, long in the front. And with a hardtail, man, you can get those frame tubes low. And there's a certain look to it. So in terms of why are choppers hardtailed, it's purely aesthetics, darling.
Comes back quite
Now,
clearly to the conversation we were having about cafe racer design earlier.
right, exactly. Cafe racer design is based very, very much on traditional values, some of which make no sense. Now, is a bike with rear suspension more comfortable to ride? Yes. Is it safer to ride? Yes. Is it far better to ride a bike over distance with rear suspension? Yes, 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 yes. But it's very hard to make choppers with rear suspension look good in a traditional way. You notice I phrased that quite well.
Very
Yep.
nicely.
Because I don't want to say a chopper with rear suspension is ugly. You know, back in the day, I had a lot of friends who built choppers with plunger rear suspensions. We'll get into what a plunger is in another show. And they look great. Triumph made this wonderful thing called the sprung hub, where the suspension was in the wheel hub. Amazing.
Wow.
The springs could kill you if they came out, and
I
some
bet.
did. Yeah, but nevertheless. So there are ways around it, but generally, if you want to build a good-looking traditional chopper, for all its faults, you need a hardtail. Just don't come blubbering to me if you go down a bumpy road and you start peeing blood because it's smashed up your kidneys.
Hey, that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right?
There you go. So, Chad, I hope that answers your question. You know, it's back to aesthetics, and it's something that's always drawn me in. As fun as the mechanics of bikes go and making things run just right, shit's got to be pretty. It's got to be pretty, whether it's a chopper, whether it's a cafe racer. It doesn't matter what it is. It's got to be pretty. Ugly bikes are just that. They're ugly bikes.
And it's art, you know, and you have to suffer for your art, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Well, I think to the person's question, like if you already have a bike and it's got some sentimental value, in this case, the ashes of a friend, and you want to ride it and you're happy with it, great. It can still be an awesome custom bike.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's such a sweet idea. Putting
know-
the ashes of the friends in the frame. I love that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think, and then his friend's always with him, and
I
his
love
friend's
that.
still out
Would you
there
put my
and all
ashes in your frame?
I would.
Oh, thank you.
A little sprinkle.
I'd put some of your hashish in a frame.
If there's any left over.
Which, we've actually gone over. I mean, I want to thank our listeners for sticking with us, not just for this episode. I mean, for sticking with us for the last 2 hours.
600.
2 hours.
Yeah. See, Liza, we did 2 hours.
No, honestly, you deserve some kind of award. But, hopefully the guys from Nova Motorcycles made up for our nonsense. But on a broader scale, for those of you that stuck with us for 600 episodes.
601.
Yes, we've grown old, Bagel.
Yeah.
We've grown old doing this podcast.
Getting the grays coming in.
Yeah, speak for yourself, mate. But I wouldn't keep coming back if it wasn't fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yes. And so I think that's it for another week.
Yeah.
601 is in the bag. Craig, thank you for joining us and telling us all about your specials.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Always nice to have you in the studio, Scottie. Lovely to have you too, Neil. You're becoming something of a regular. And Bagel. Bagel, I get to hang out with Bagel some more because he's staying at my house on the futon.
Mm-hmm. That's very comfy.
Yeah, it is. And it'll be even more comfortable because you probably have a little kitty cat come and join you tonight.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Warmth. Yes.
It's a little meow mix.
Yes, a little mew mew. And John,
actually, I have a joke we can end with.
Oh, can we end with a joke?
Yeah,
Wait,
is it a bad one?
Is it
Like a Mary Kay
appropriate?
joke?
It's appropriate. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's for
Well,
Bagel. It's
alrighty.
for Bagel actually, and it came from the Nova Motorcycle guys.
Oh,
okay.
Oh.
So Bagel, why doesn't seagulls fly over the bay?
Because if they did, they'd be bagels.
There it is.
Yes.
Deary me, that is a dad joke if I ever heard one.
Yes, it is.
And on that note,
And I just want to say, I would fly, but I prefer riding because riding is the closest you can get to flying without leaving the ground.
Aw.
oh, I say,
Yeah.
that's poetic.
Very
poetic.
philosophical.
It really is. I think it's time to get out of here.
That's
So on that note, this is Emma Darling.
I'm Neil.
Stumpy John.
Bagel.
Scottie.
Craigzilla.
And I was going to say an invitation.
Yeah, I know. I looked up there instinctively.
I'm sitting in Jim's chair. I almost said.
We are out of here.
Cool.